Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to test out the finalized version of the Quick Link Select add-on, which is going to be a free support tool for the Random Flow add-on. I have also renamed it to the Pre-Select add-on instead of the Quick Link Select add-on because it's a tongue twister. So it's now the Pre-Select add-on. Okay. And for the model, I'm going to remake the connections model that I did in my YouTube shorts and also the ones I posted in Instagram and Twitter. 64 for the cylinder vertices. Separate this, or maybe make it a bit longer and separate this. I'm going to do something else with this object, so I just basically sourced the geometry using the original model. So the connections model is kind of like the a conduit. So there's cable here, and this is like the sci-fi connection connector that amplifies the signal, which makes um, interstellar travel possible. And okay, let's try and okay, let's not automate this first. I'm going to mark out the center and then apply mesh and do a bit more details. Now with all those extrusions, we need to reestablish the mirror and add more edges for the randomization or edge loops to create more faces for the randomization. We shade out the smooth, maybe make this smaller. Okay, now let's start and Control Shift A. I'm now using the pre-select add-on. Control Shift A to select everything. Then start selecting the. You also now have deselect, and there's a color as well for the deselect all faces, which is red. And you can set or change the color of the select and the select functions using the preferences of the add-on. Okay, so just this far, and we're going to use square 100% angle. Turn on even offset and change the distance, clipping distance to clip the panel cut in the symmetry line. Toggle on random so we can randomize the shading and get a different look on our model. Make the panel islands bigger. Minimum is something like 5. And change the maximum depth value to create different or varying depth values for the panel islands. 0.01. Let's make it larger, 0.025. Okay. Now, because of the increased depth, the center line has been ripped again. We need to increase the clipping value. Okay. All we need to do now is look for some design that speaks to us. Okay, this one here is changed. Okay, so I think this one's good. Okay, let's move on. Control Shift A to deselect everything. And we need to select new ones or new faces. So you need to use the pre-select add-on on the real geometry side of the model, not the side which is mirrored. Okay, we need to create a balance between really detailed areas and also create areas which has least detail and more relaxed areas like this one here. Let's hit A and let's continue on. So with the pre-select uh, add-on, you can continue to just layer design in object mode without ever going to edit mode, and just use the add-on on the base mesh. But if you need to change the topology, of course you need to enter the go back to the go back to edit mode. Okay, I'm balancing out the detailed uh, areas versus the relaxed one. So we need to create or continue the relaxed area here. Like 90, and this is 5 again. Okay, there we go. Control Shift A to get rid of those faces, and yes, this one here. So for this part, I'm going to create a busier area again. So areas with more details, not too busy, something like 60. So you notice that I always use square, but there's also other stuff here. Square just gives me a bit more convincing patterns, but you can experiment with radial and walk as well. So these are the old school solvers, the walk and the radial. The square is the new one. And it's been around for quite some time, so actually let's go with this. Control Shift A and this one. I need to extrude it a bit more, but not too much. So 0.035. Okay. Control Shift A and the last bit. So we're going to make this have more relaxed areas. So we need bigger panel size. Okay, I like this one. You can also remove the faces or panel islands using this panel amount and expose the surface underneath. To get it keeps the faces intact but not using depth value. So if you want to delete this, just use this toggle here, which is remove panels. So you get a view of the surface underneath. So this toggle here, when this is off, it removes the bigger islands first. Let's see. Then yeah, it removes the smaller island first. If you toggle this or invert it, it removes the smaller islands first. Bigger islands first. So you're left with the smaller islands. Okay, let's choose 100. I did not remember the value that I used. 0.35. 0.35. Oh no, no, no. This is not fractions. So 350, 10. So I think 250. Yes, there we go. 250. And for this one here, just gonna add a bunch of edge loop and make sure that the faces are squarish, and duplicate and scale or shrink using Alt S. But wait, not too much. 50. Duplicate in object mode, then in edit mode, Alt S. Press S to straighten the scaling or even out the scaling. And just a bit like that. Then go back to the original object, delete the spaces, delete, delete the space, and um, subdivide, and then Control E and subdivide, and use um, an odd number to make the diamond pattern. Okay. Now we're going to inset. Press I, and then press I again to inset individually, and X F to delete the faces that are selected. So we are left with this uh, geometry here. And all I need to do is mirror it on the Z axis. So we got cables here and here. Okay. Um, I'll right click and select cylinder. Oops, cylinder one. So this is cylinder one, our original object. Control Shift A to select everything. Okay. Probably need a maybe I need something and another hotkey to preview the real geometry side of the mirror modifier. Click on this one and this one. Random cables and curve, and don't use mirror overlap. Oops, doesn't work. And let's increase the cable amount. Oh, we're using no mirror, so it's also used this part here. Okay, so what we're going to do instead is with this face selected, um, if need to duplicate, separate, and then we're going to find the separated element. Okay, this one. Apply the mirror or mesh. Select everything. And let's start with this side first and do this next. Cables, curve. We need to ID. Let's see. Page, cylinder, cylinder one, and then cylinder three. It's the opposite. Um, delete this and just apply the mirror of the original. Apply mesh. Select the spaces here. The pre-select add-on also um, works in edit mode, but the preview function doesn't work there. Okay. It, it doesn't penetrate the center, but it is kind of low. Ranges, the depth, ranges of the go. So 0.0025, 0.04, oops, 0.005, 400. You just have to wait because using the no overlap is kind of slow. 600. It will process each of those curve and get rid of the ones that are creating an overlap. 0.05 for the wiggle. Reduce the steps, something like 4 or 3. Oh, 3, not 30. And wiggle is 0.01. Go. And we can also use radius, but we need, I think we need more points for the steps to basically make this work better. So there we go. Something like 1 and randomize the position. Okay, next one here. Okay, so we have our conduit model. And let's try and use the, I'm going to show you the random panels to create little bits of detail. And Shift A to deselect everything, then Shift F to deselect the spaces. Select those faces, not to select those faces. Okay, increase resolution. Use smaller panel size to create tiny details like that. Then we need to remove the objects. Make sure this is toggled on. So it removed the smaller. islands first. We need to remove the bigger islands first and get us this geometry, or leave us the smaller panel islands for the tiny details. F9, and we're going to just use a constant value for the depth. Okay, 0.005. Okay, so we have that. Just tiny bits of detail, and can of course further reduce their number by using the panel amount, something like 20 or 15%. Okay, it's A. Make the faces smaller, you need to increase the resolution of the subdivision or the cut. But in this case, we already have enough topology to pull off the details that you want. This part here, use the number. Okay, I think that's what's better. In this one, make sure everything is deselected, or starting with the selection and then using the random operators. Okay, I think that one's good. For this one here, I think I also need a select all faces. I think I could use the control alt shift A for that. Yeah, let's use the original topology. Probably use uh, zero thickness. There we go. Just tiny bits of detail using the final cut operator. Okay, so ready for the shading. So just select all the curves, Shift G, and type of the active object, same type as the active object. Control Shift A and Control Shift A, Control Shift X, create flow and apply mesh. If you don't have this, if you don't have creative flow, you can find apply mesh in random flow, or press W and convert to mesh. The same thing. With X, then Shift G and type selects all the mesh. Run vertex color, no saturation, and object limit. So it changes the color of the mesh based on the different objects. And with this one, we're going to reuse the same operator, but this time use the island limit. Since these are the faces are basically the separated sets of faces, so we can further differentiate their colors. And now we use saturated color here using creative flow, vertex color set, set, something like that, and the other and just place, and without changing, if you don't want to change the color, just click on replace. Not looking too good. Probably this one here. Place. Or you can use pick. Okay, final one right here. We're going to create a different color. Something like green. Hmm. Now we can uh, create the shading. Shift Q, shading, up in materials, and then deselect the curve, hide the curve or wire objects. Shift G, T, or not, Shift GT, yes, for the same type as the active object, and assign the our flow metal material. All right. So we need the vertex color. Let's just change the HDRI, something like that. And let's connect our vertex color that we made. Yeah, it's going to be an attribute, and it's going to be named the vertex color. And we're going to control its intensity using the color mix node and using the overlay blending mode. Set the color on the A input and the factor to 1. And then when you use the second color bar, you can control the intensity or the value of the vertex color. Okay, so we have something like this, and then we need to modify the rest of the shader groups. So this one, something like 1, and make the noise smaller by using a higher value. Cavity, this is our cavity threshold, decrease the threshold. Let's try and use peaks and use something like saturation 0.3. Copy this to the quick dirt, and let's view the quick dirt. Still good. Okay, and then we need to edit the, just need to edit the, and also view it. Edit the color around for the roughness. Okay, need to make this darker. Maybe make this darker. Vertex color set. Oops, set this to 1, and then make it dark. The bevel is, I think the bevel is not working because it has no thickness. Okay, let's give it a thickness. Draw modifiers, use solidify. There we go. It has a bit of, it's using the bevel shader now, but it has a bad reaction to the, I think it's the cavity mask. So we need to, selecting this object, go to materials, duplicate material, so it becomes its own material. And then we need to turn off peaks. There you go. Or maybe just lessen it. We need, there you go. The cables, probably use a, okay, let's just add the our flow metal and duplicate it. Okay. Let's try saturated color on this part. Random VColor, yellow to red. Saturation island. There we go. Okay, and just play around with the seed value. The saturation, you can increase it to, you can remove the randomization by increasing the minimum to 1, the same as the, let's just join these two. Then from the first color, saturation is zero point 0.5 and zero point 0.5, maybe less saturated, zero point 0.2 and zero point 0.2. Okay, and value 4 and about 0.6. Okay, or maybe first color, make the value higher, 0.7, 0.7. We'll randomize the volume. Okay, so we have the wires. All that we need are the lights. Actually, we shouldn't have converted the wire to mesh first. Should have added the flanges, but too late. Okay, I'm going to use just black and white foundation and make it darker, zero point 0.4 and zero point 0.6. There we go. Now for the lights, let's use the same material for this as this one. Just deactivate the light for the original material, which is the airflow metal. Emission is 20. Just need to edit this. Make it less saturated. Increase the size of the lights. And right. So this is meant to work with UV objects. So we can just create this object. Create everything. Go to edit mode and just use Smart UV project. That looks good. And we're going to try and create a lighting effect using the ambient occlusion. And we're going to add it here. Ambient occlusion AO. And control this using a color ramp. Backspace to reset. You need node wrangler turned on to do that. And set this to only local. Flip this. Then use just make it closer to the white color stamp. And you can control its color using the first color step. Okay. Or to make it easier, just create another color mix node and use the color blending mode. Then you can set the color here. So you don't need to go to the color tab. You just need to edit the color right here. But we need to break up these lights, and we can do that using, if you have gauge placement, you can also do that to break up these lights. But you can also use something as simple as checkers. This texture and the checker texture here, and set this to pure black. Multiply. Increase the volume, something like 50. Mm, let's see, color. No, no effect. For 20. Make it, make the lights bigger. Okay. Okay, so this is our connection model. Maybe I could do a final detail on the cylinder and select everything. Go to create spiking geometry using random cells and the preset full 100 in depth. Increase the cuts to decrease the size of the fusion, something like 0.4 or 0.25. Oh, let's bring back the asymmetry or the mirror. The symmetry. Change and press the cylinder. Select cylinder again. Select everything. Like 20, and then 2, just to break up the outside shape a little more. Okay, 1.5. There we go. Set an empty and select every mesh and parent it to the empty. Okay, now we can pose it, play around with the lighting. So here, only render the render window. Go into track lights and make empty and focus on that spot where the 3D cursor snapped onto, and we can control the f-stop. It's blurry based on the depth. What we need to do is a proper lighting or a better lighting than this one. So let's just cycle. This one's good. So we have a bit of rust. Brush effects really helps a lot to sell the idea. So this also looks good, but we need to hide this part here. Okay. Going to test render this. Before that, I'm going to add denoising and emission. Go to the compositor, and add those nodes, normal and albedo. And we're going to add the glare from the emission and use fog glow and add it here. And we're going to test render using just a small sample like 32. So you won't see the actual render window, but you can see the percentage here on the progress of render, and you'll finally see it in the compositor once it's finished. Okay, so this is what we got, and the range, control shift click. Okay, let's use something like 0.2. Going to wait it to render, and you can make it softer by using a lower bound here. Okay, and it affects the color, this node here. Okay, so it's much softer. So the lights is the emission, supposed to be using Fago. Let's try these tricks or simple to see if it's working. Okay. Decrease the threshold, 0.2 until we see stars. Something like 0.1. Then we can go back to bloom or fog glow. Let's think bloom is new. Okay, bloom. That's good. Okay, so this is our connection model. You can create. You can certainly create. Use the methods you saw in this video to create like sci-fi abstract art or something like that. Okay, and if you can model the cable, then and also duplicate this like other direction, then you can create the abstract art using this kind of model. Okay, let's before we go, let's cycle their eye, high dynamic range image. Is it? Okay, this one's good also. Don't be afraid of the light, and also don't be afraid of the shadows either. If you know what I mean. You can create drama with shadows, and you can also use the light You can see that everything is exposed, and there's also a merit to this style. And also, you can also use the shadows to create drama on the object to bring out more contrast and detail. Okay, so how do I make this bigger? That pro bar. Oh, it's the it's the render window this way. Okay, so that is it for this video. And if you have any questions, just the comment section below or the links in the description. Be sure to subscribe and hit notify. Also like this video to show it to more people. And thank you for watching and have a nice day.